This, ladies and gentlemen, is a fresh of breath air. It is nice to once again see a good Uncle Grandpa episode. In my opinion, one of the best ones there's been. After having reviewed so many bad episodes, it is great, and I told you in my last installment of What's Wrong Cartoon Network that this next Uncle Grandpa episode, the second time Aunt Grandma appears, it was either going to be a make or break episode. It was either going to be really good or really bad, and I'm actually surprised to say that even though it had a little bit of a flawed setup, which I'll show in a moment, it's really good. Let's talk about it.
Wrong about that. And Teacher Steve, he's such a blowhard. What? And he's got absolutely nothing to back it up. I mean, the only thing he's really any good at is bragging. And he isn't even very good at that. Belly bag is just a heavy burden.
So basically it starts out with Uncle Grandpa saying bad things about his friends in secret to Aunt Grandma. Okay, come on, you know that that's a lie and that Aunt Grandma is obviously doing this, has obviously somehow set this up so that they all think that he said something bad about them, because Uncle Grandpa loves these guys, and there's a clip at the end of the episode that shows a real DVD of what it really thinks of them, and it's kind of creepy, but yeah, he likes them all as friends. And they fall for it, needless to say. And that's kind of the whole conflict of this. So let's see how Uncle Grandpa reacts when he wakes up in the morning. Well, what does this mean for Aunt Grandma? It means she gets what she wants.
Grandpa, I don't need any help.
But you're crying. Tissue?
These are tears of joy, Uncle Grandpa. At first, I needed a tennis racket, but now I have one.
Thanks to...
I don't think I
Thanks
heard you
to...
correctly.
Oh, Uncle Grandpa, you're so funny.
Whatever, we'll just go ahead. Anyway, she doesn't say it. And anyway, Aunt Grandma shows up, and she's got the whole crew, and they basically say, we saw the video, and Uncle Grandpa's like, what video? Because he didn't shoot a video, it was, well, I won't explain what it was, because that's actually one of the unique things about this episode. It's a 30-minute episode. I actually don't want to, I'll actually do a spoiler review for this one, because I don't want to give the whole thing away, because it's actually worth a watch for anyone, and it's a good episode. So I actually recommend this episode. It's entitled Episode 93, The Return of Aunt Grandma. So, I mean, if you're an Uncle Grandpa fan, you're going to love this episode. And even if you're not, if you ever had an Uncle Grandpa episode that you did like, that you thought was okay, give it a shot. You may like it. So we'll do one or two more clips, and I'll discuss a little more, and then I'll find a hand around. I'll put a hood on like I did last night to go into a spoilers section review of this, actually. I'm not going to bother reviewing the actors and the animation. Just going to stick to the story in this case. So anyway, they all drive off, and we get this.
What's the use? How can I...
She's basically like advertising that her company now, so she's going to be more like a stereotypical company with her helping of the kids.
The help you deserve today.
She even sounds like an advertisement.
About to have a beautiful morning.
What's the use? How can I even compete with that?
Well, for a while, and there's actually going to be an part of the episode that I skip over, where he works in a Subway ripoff. They call it like Subpar or something. I'm going to skip over the clips of that. Let you discover those on your own, because that's standard Uncle Grandpa funny stuff, and doesn't really add too much to the story. Whereas we learn that Aunt Grandma's got like Aunt Grandma has a setup.
In the workplace, You can get them to do almost anything for you.
Oh yeah, that's it. This pizza.
So she's obviously buttering up all of Uncle
How
Grandpa's
is our
friends
Mr.
to
Gus doing?
continue working for her.
Next page, Rothschild. My pleasure, sir.
And what about my new favourite feline companion? And those pesky sidekicks?
Pesky. Okay, so that pretty much should say it all. So she basically just told them, you know, I can answer the whole episode. She basically just told them, and they switch for this kid named Timmy. They switch out. They do things that Uncle Grandpa used to do. They help kids by switching out a bike tire, and the earlier episodes were all about that. We're all about helping kids and the funny way that Uncle Grandpa did it. And we get a montage here. A montage of Uncle Grandpa failing in the sandwich shop and Aunt Grandma helping kids. So needless to say that Aunt Grandma is reaping it. She shows everyone at the performance meeting, and they both have performance meetings, and Uncle Grandpa, now called Jeff by the shop owner, is basically saying, you're not doing a good job, you got one chance left. And Aunt Grandma's saying, like, congratulations everybody, we're more profitable than ever. We're loving kids, we're gonna help kids faster and cheaper. Alright, that's where the spoiler hat comes into play. So now we've got the setup, faster and cheaper. Where do you think that's going to lead? In fact, since it's daytime, I'm going to have to go out soon. Why don't we just go ahead and put on the spoiler shirt? Alright, we are now in the spoiler section of this episode. You know, it's a short episode, so you might as well watch it anyway, but just so you know, spoiler alert. Moving on into the second half of the 30-minute episode. He's got one last chance, Uncle Grandpa, to make a sandwich. It looks like he's going to be successful.
And lastly, the finishing touches. Just put the bread on top like so, and all done.
The guy just wanted bread and cheese. Instead, Uncle Grandpa fixes it up. He can't do anything right, basically, in the sandwich shop because he was meant to help people. And I think that's actually a good way of showing this. It is interesting. So he gets kicked out. And what does he do? He finds a cat named Pickles. No relation to Mr. Pickles, okay? And if you don't get that reference, good. Good.
Aw, shucks. It was nothing.
So anyway, what does he find? Well, he finds Aunt Grandma helping this kid find his cat named Pickles. Wait a second. Now, at this point, I was like, okay. Now, I know Aunt Grandma has done something wrong. And this is at the point where we find out how this whole thing has gone down. Let's go back a little bit. Uncle Grandpa insists he knows he has the right cat, Pickles. And so he actually takes that cat, which is...
It's like I was saying. It's not Pickles. It's a robot.
Huh? Then that must mean... Pickles? Pickles! It is you!
So what do you think that means? It means that Aunt Grandma is indeed cheaper, way too cheap, and that she's not actually helping the kids. Now, granted, this is the only time we're actually shown to her that she has actually not done anything. Like when they show that her fix the bike tire, it looks like they actually fixed the bike tire. But I think in those cases, she was making it look like she could actually fix things. And now that she's made things cheaper, she has basically done all this setup. And there's a little better explanation later where she actually reveals that she stole Pickles from the child and replaced it with a robot. So what? She got rid of Mr. Pickles. I'm sorry, I keep saying Mr. Pickles. That's not good. Mr. Pickles is no way related to this. Anyway, she gets rid of Pickles, the cat, and gives him a robot cat, and in turn makes the kid need her help, and that's like her whole setup. I'll try to show one more clip explaining it. This is funny. Uncle Grandpa dresses as a kid and goes on Grandma's as someone who needs help with his balloon. So I mentioned it.
Now to take off the dirt on Aunt Grandma. Let's see. What do we have here? Operation Steal Pickles. Steal Pickles. Get rid of Pickles. Give Brett fake Pickles. Successfully help a kid. Oh man, now that's just all kinds of wrong.
And then she comes in and says, "You're basically a terrible spy," because she saw him come in. Tiny Miracle fell for it. Tiny Miracle, the robot, fell for it and started helping him, but, she didn't. So she basically calls in all of Uncle Grandpa's old friends to rough him up a bit, but...
Man, what am I gonna do? Huh? What the... Oh, so that's how it is. Uncle Grandpa, you come out.
So we finally get our answer as to what happened before.
Handle this. This one's for all the bad stuff you said about me and trying to sabotage Aunt G.
Who, those guys? They're the worst.
What the? That's the same stuff he was saying in the video.
No. What are you talking about? He hates you guys. Can't you see? He's evil.
Bill,
Uncle Grandma evil. That's a laugh. So basically, everyone turns on Grandma now, and we get this actual fight sequence for a couple of minutes. Yeah, that's right. Uncle Grandpa does a fight sequence where everyone's fighting with Uncle Grandpa now against Aunt Grandma androids. Probably the low point of the episode. Some funny moments, but...
how do you like them apples, Granny Smith?
Impressive.
Actually a good
There's
joke.
No match for my...
No more techno tricks, you tenacious tyrant, Billy Bag. Let's give her a little taste of our genetic engineering.
And so she gets defeated, basically. And Uncle Grandpa, like I said, I was going to show this as like the final clip. This is kind of weird what he actually thinks about someone, about all of them.
Oh. Oh, you're the best. I love you guys.
It's one thing to say, "I love you guys." It's another thing to kind of go like that and kiss a picture, which I think there's a difference between love and that type of love. Like brotherly love. That's one thing. Like brotherly love between all of them. That would be cool. That would be good. That would be understood. But that was him. I don't want to say being acting like a girl, but that's what it was. He put on lipstick and kissed a picture. But whatever. And so, how does this episode end? Well, come on. This is only the second episode with Aunt Grandma. I'd be willing to see another one. So, tell me, Aunt Grandma, what are you going to do now that you're locked up? Oh, look at that. They locked up an android, not the actual Aunt Grandma. Well. That means that there's a possibility Aunt Grandma could return again. So yeah, I actually thought this was a decent episode. It's actually worth a watch. For me, it's still a one and done watch, but I was actually entertained with this one. See, there were, like I may have said it, and I'll say it one more time, there are Uncle and Grandpa episodes that are good. Hell, there are Teen Titan episodes that are good every once in a while. Not like Uncle Grandpa, but Uncle Grandpa does have the potential to have episodes like this that are genuinely funny, actually have plots, the characters are thought out, and yeah, the setup was kind of flawed in this one with the, they fell for it so easy. But then again, it is 30 minutes as to opposed to 90 minutes, so they have a third of the time to basically do what they could have done in a movie, honestly. So, hats off to you, Uncle Grandpa Crew. You actually made a good episode for the first time in a while. And I will upload this to YouTube, and I will give it to you. I recommend this episode. If I was to give it a cinematic critic rating, based on like cinematic critic ratings, it would be a 5 or a 6. But given the fact that it's a TV show, I'll give it a 7. I'll give it a 7.